Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently Tuesday, June 25th, 2013. We are 2 days shy of my 27th birthday, and yet here we are celebrating a milestone. Welcome to Day 9 Daily number 600, where we learn to be a better gamer. BAM! Nothing even cracked because I'm so loosey-goosey and excited and ready for this daily because it's a throwback. The very first Day 9 daily. The daily that actually caused the whole concept of the show to like really gel in my head is there was a Taran vs. Zerg game from Flash on Heartbreak Ridge, and two hatch Mutalisk play, very aggressive Mutalisk micro-based plays were becoming popular, and this was it was a completely counterintuitive way to deal with it, to begin attacking right as the mutas come out with almost no units. Because hell, if Zerg's going to hatch mutas, the only units he has to defend are the mutas. And that's a great way to hold it off. And that's what the Day 9 Daily number 1 was about. So on the 600th daily, we're going to be looking once again at Flash Taran versus Zerg, talking about how he's going to be avoiding the 3 command center biomine play, which, though seems really strong, has really been the big poison to Terrans as of late. So, let me make one announcement. I'm at MLG this weekend. Please tune in, mlg.tv. I'll be casting with DJ Wheat, Total Biscuit, Oxlov, and Axel Toss. Hope to see you there. If you're in Anaheim, come on down. I'll be there. That's it. I want to hop into this game. It's a game we've actually looked at before. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus someone. It's a barcode versus a barcode. And this is going to showcase what, for a brief moment in time, was the standard play in Taran vs. Zerg. It wouldn't be a daily without that. So what we're going to see now is what happened when Heart of the Swarm came out. I think one of the most notable changes, actually, and I want to come to the Zerg units, is the fact that this Mutalisk has move speed 4. I think before this it was underneath 3. It was... no, maybe it was like 3.25. Either way, this is fast. Mutalisk became the bane of Taran's existence. Terrans who used to go Marine Tank as their main composition slowly switched on over to Marine Mine as their competition. Or as we like to call it, the biomine composition. So, very quickly, players figured out what would be the best way to go for biomine. And it was all predicated upon a pretty simple principle. Zergs tend to defend. Or, if they go all in, we're Taran, we can hold off most all-ins. And plus, all-ins, as they would indicate, are all in. So as long as I hold it off, I'm able to win. Easy peasy. This is the logic of Terrans, and thus this build became the norm. There's the command center going down. Yes, c'est excellent. Now there's two things going on here. One is a build, and the other is a composition. The composition is Marine with Mine. This build order is designed to have a lot of strength in the late game. So I want to note what this build is doing. An early pair of Reapers transitioning into a factory. It doesn't matter if you do exactly this. Some players go 2 Marines and then straight into factory. But what is important is that very swiftly players get up an extra command center. We see this player not quite doing that. There it is. And we see there's going to be the orbital command coming up. Parahelions pop on out. This build is designed to keep the Zerg contained using the Reapers, to keep Zerg contained even more strongly with the Hellions. We start this tech lab with Stim early because this is going to be our only tech lab. We get Stim, followed by Concussive Shell, and then followed up. Where are the... oh yeah, here are the E-Bays. Yeah, following it up. E-Bays. Now I'm going to come here at the 8-minute mark, doink, and I'm going to pause. The 8-minute mark, very critical. We see outside the front is some space control stuff. Not big damage dealing meaty, beefy units like tanks, marines, marauders. Space control, Reapers and Hellions. Back home we have, how many marines? We got 2 marines. We got maybe a mine coming up, maybe a second mine en route. Yeah, and we almost have, no, I'm lying. We're about a minute away from Stim. 9 minutes is when we'll get it. Not a lot back home to defend, but that's fine. Because the way that the Taran players sort of evolved this is to be real beastly at around 12 to 14. Even actually, as we come here to the 10-minute mark, a full 2 minutes later, boink, I want you to take, again, a close look at this. 4 Marines, 6 Hellions, 1 Reaper, 6 mines. Our number of mines has increased, but nothing else has. We're getting closer to being able to begin our production, but we yet have not. We don't really have medevacs in production. We don't really have much else. This is the very common look. In fact, between 7 and 10, there's just not that much defense. But all this is okay. Why? Because typically Zergs are on the defensive, getting their 1-1 upgrades, going for Mutiling, Baneling, going for the hatchery at the 3rd, trying to spread creep with queens. So I show this because we can now see why this started to be a huge problem for the Taran player. I mean, obviously, Zerg started to struggle late, and Terrans were viewed everywhere as going to be the most dominant thing in the universe. But suddenly, Zerg players realized that they could do Roach all-ins, Roach Baneling, Mass Speed Zergling all-in, because if you have just this setup, 10 minutes, very late into the game, or I should say very late into the opening stage, you have stuff that you can detonate very easily with 6 Zerglings, and then all you have to do is be able to crunch through some space control units and a handful of Marines, and you win the game. So this is what we saw a lot of players do to destroy Terrans. And sort of humorously enough, Taran vs. Zerg started to be the worst matchup to watch ever, because it would be the Taran player going 3 command center and not getting killed early, or the Zerg player going all in and killing the Zerg player, or killing the Taran player early. That was it. Those are the only 2 possibilities. But what we've seen over time is that Zergs not only are able to do these early attacks that can kill the Taran, but now they can recover from it. So it looked completely horrible for Terrans across the board, which is what brings me now to these builds from Flash. I did that little bit, where is it? It's the Ragnarok game? There it is. Loading it up. I did that little bit of metagame analysis, talking a little bit about the histories and the motivations, because there were those key times. The 8-minute and the 10-minute mark are some big times. A lot of all-ins, I would call them the swift all-ins, which would generally be Roach Baneling or Ling Baneling, are happening around 7 or 8. The more of the economic, follow-upable all-ins happen around 9 or so. We're also, so here are some timings in the opening. Now, in terms of timing with composition, we're seeing we're seeing Zergs just get a lot more Roach heavy. So suddenly Zergs are doing strikes at around 7 to 8 and around 8:30 to 9. These 2 windows. They're doing big strikes, and overall they're getting more Roaches. What the hell do we do with that? And this brings us to what we're going to be looking at in today's daily. We're going to be looking at Flash doing a non-3 command center build. He's going to be getting very aggressive after he expands. He's going to be doing a lot of cool antics, and we will see the strengths of it. We'll see some of the concerns, such as, man, we really got to do damage if we're not getting a 3rd command center early on. And we'll see how he evolves this out into a play style in 2 games. Bam! Oh, by the way, now that she's here, I'd like to give an extra special shout out to Kitty4Cats. It's your birthday today, from what I understand, so happy birthday. Kitty, one of the mods of Day 9 TV, and one of the regulars up in the channel. Have to give the happy birthday shout outs. Especially because we're on birthday mode. Bam! At least I think it is. At least I think it is. Wouldn't that be hilarious if it wasn't? I'm actually going to sit here for a moment and just wait. Am I wrong? Everyone's saying happy birthday, and I'm just like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I'm actually gonna go double check. Whatever. You know what? I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Down in the bottom right corner, we have Flash. It isn't. It was a. Wait, she was born on January 4th. What the? What? This daily is a disaster. Whose birthday did I think it was? I could have sworn. Wow. What? Wow. It's a good thing that everything I'm saying related to the game has been good thus far today. Wow. She was born on January 4th and it's June 25th. Wow. Well, Marky's birthday on March 19th. Happy birthday, Marky. That's my dog. That's my dog. Man, did I get crunched. Happy birthday at some point. You know, birthdays are important. It's Belshear Vestige. We're going to see Ragnarok spawn at the top. This is a particularly all-in prone map because of this space right there. Look at that. Wow. Now, if you get all-in on this map, not only is it hard to hold off because of the flat terrain, the wide entrance, but also if you lose, that's hard because it's your birthday whenever you lose. It spoils your birthday, doesn't it? Woo. Wow. Can't believe it. What a disaster. It's fine. Happy birthday nonetheless. Now, Flash is going to be opening up with the very standard command center first. I think there's nothing wrong ever with this. This is the best build. I should say the best basics. And of course, we have Ragnarok going for hatch, and then pool, and then gas. Very common. By the way, for any of you who do not recognize this game, this is from the WCS Korea round of 32. So this is like a serious business match. This is not just a derp, I enjoy having myself some fun. This seems pretty legit. This is like in a tournament setting. This is the game 1 of the group, and we'll be following it up with Flash's game 2. So, big bidginess on the line. Big business. So, right off the bat, we see some nice structures from Flash. Insta-bunkering, and he is actually not scouted. Because for one, he's not going to change his build, but more importantly for two, he's safe. Very safe. The forward bunker, if for some reason he spots a bunch of units coming in, then he just lifts and rallies onto the inside. It means this orbital command is coming down as quickly as possible. And also we have the factory getting the reactor straight afterwards. I'm going to pop back here to 410 because I do want to take a little bit of time exploring the build. As this command center is about halfway done, refinery goes down. Or a more simple statement is, get the bunker as fast as you can, get this orbital as fast as you can, get the marine as fast as you can, and once you've done all that other stuff, refinery. So there's Flash, boink, getting that down. So quite a fast refinery, already kind of a deviation from the usual biomine norm. 2 marines is all that's gonna take. All the next supply depots will be here. In fact, if you look in the main base, just one. This is the only supply depot that's going to be here for a very long time. In fact, supply depot 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be here, and depot 6 is going to be thrown down there. A very nice structure thus far, quite defensive. We note such things as a Zerg really can't have Zergling speed earlier than 6 minutes if he's early expanding at all. So we're pretty comfortable with these big holes in here. In fact, 6:30 actually tends to be about as early as they will generally get it, so it's still fine that Flash has not scouted. But we note that seemingly erupting out of the blue, we look at Flash's supply. He's at 33 of 46. Why did he start these 2 depots right at 6 minutes? Because again, this is when Zergling speed wraps up. This is when there are Zergling speed strikes, so we need to make sure that we have this wall off. We don't really have enough to hold off 16 Zerglings. Already, we admire the timing of it. And of course, a lot of Taran players are like, well, I do that. But you're not Flash, so I don't give you credit for it. The reason we see Flash get this very, very early gas is he's going to be going for some Hellbat drops. We see that the starport actually comes down before the armory. The armory is the sort of second-class citizen here going for getting that as a follow-up. And amazingly, our gas lines up, or our money lines up oh so nicely. We have our 2 Hellions coming up, and it's after the 2 Hellions that we get to see this very nice timing on these doink-doink 2 depots. Everything else looks pretty typical. Getting the tech lab up ASAP, or as I like to call it, AFAP, because not only is as fast as possible a smarter thing to say in a game like StarCraft, but it's also funnier. Most players who go for Hellbat drops have a tendency to abandon all Hellion production and go for the Hellbats as fast as possible, but some pretty cool things happen. One medevac coming out, armory wrapping up, single marine headed where? To wherever an overlord could be, to block out the sun. The two Hellions are doing all the sorts of checking, and I want you to just note this movement path. Very subtle, yet significant. So, there's so much going on in this early phase that just, oh, it just makes me admire him and his wonderfulness. Let me actually go to the flash cam. Flash sends these two out. I don't know if that split was intentional, but he does check the watchtower and then does something unusual. Moves up and then cuts all the way back around again to this side. Did you see this scout pattern? Check here, move up, cut across, and up again. When did I say those all-ins tended to hit? 7:30 to 8, or 7 minutes every now and again. So this was a fortunate move to help us identify that nothing was coming. Really interestingly timed. And then, of course, the check at the third base. There's two things we're looking for. One is there a third base? And the second one is the timing of it. Alright, well, normally third bases start at 6 minutes. Ah, look at that, 6 minutes. Very swiftly we can conclude that our opponent went for 2 queen gas. So that's very good for us. Meanwhile, back home, we see it's Hellbat, Marine, Stim. And we're also rather fortunate in that by delaying this armory, remember how I said most players just abandon ship and get the Hellbats as fast as possible? A 7-minute Overlord Scout is something most players do. So, Flash manages to repel this before the Hellbats are seen. And look at this Hellion movement. Hellions not even attacking here. Coming back to this. Coming back to the other side. Just trying to get a good sense of vision of what's going on. Very, very safe, very, very stable, very, very smart. Not doing me like, derp, I'm going to try to kill off creep tumors. Nope, just trying to cover the space. Now what's happening back here in the main base is again a deviation from the 3 command center play. 2 more barracks incoming, yeah. Did we get any marauders? Nope, just the Marines. And making Hellbats and medevacs 2 at a time. Or excuse me, making Hellbats 2 at a time, making the medevacs 1 at a time. Moving forward, why move here? Because it's to just kill off any units that could possibly get in the way. There is an Overlord, so kind of unfortunate. But these units still positioned where an all-in could possibly be coming. And this is the moment that most people will see when they watch this game. The coordination between this tiny Hellion play at the start, or tiny Hellion play at the front, and this Hellbat drop at the back. However, I will further note a couple of things. For one, already a Marauder in production. We haven't really seen much of anything, but already we have that Marauder popping on up. Hellbats continuing production. No reactor on the starport, just 1 at a time. Very easy to go like kind of nuts and be like, ah, double medevac, double Hellbat drop production. Nope, Flash just going for a little bit more conservative of a Hellbat drop play. And now, because we were never really using these for space control at the start. This was like to check if anything was going wrong with an all-in. So now we're happy to do some drops. We see no layer. We see no layer. And this is just not a layer. I think that's a fair statement to say. So some cool scouting gets done because we scouted this hatch and this hatch and this hatch. We got the chance to see the units. The Hellbats always bring the units to the front. Things did die off. We only got 6 workers, but I still think it's a reasonable maneuver. Hellbat drops continue to be awesome. And Flash with the reinforcing Hellbat drop. I don't know if I like Hellbat drop at the natural or the main more, but I'll probably lean more towards the natural, and plus Flash even looks like that's what he intended to do, but was just focusing on the micro. So already this is looking to be like a pretty nice position for us. We've continually rescouted that there's no layer tech, and we see that indeed layers just now getting started. I'd like to pause part 1 here at the 9-minute mark. Coming back comparatively much more at the front. We have 6 Hellbats. We have some Marines, Marauders. Where are the other 2 Hellbats? Oh, there they are. We have more production. The production is still a little slow. It's not that much faster than your 3 command center play. However, all these attacks at the front make it nearly impossible for our Zerg opponent to be all-inning us. Remember how I said that there's a lot of all-ins that strike right now? Well, hell, this attack wound up occurring at around 7:30. Excuse me, I was wrong. This attack ended up moving in at around 8, so right when most of those early phase all-ins would possibly have already been spotted and taken care of. Now we begin the attack, and this is what permits us to avoid that second round of all-in that's oh so common. So now we find ourselves happily at the 9-minute mark, knowing full well what our opponent is up to, and knowing full well that we're safe. Oh my god, that's right, 9-minute mark. Let's pause at the day 9-minute mark. So what did we look at in part 1? We discussed a little bit of the evolution of Heart of the Swarm metagame. First came 3 command center, ultra-powering, heavy upgrade biomine openings. Then came Zergs doing lots of aggressive all-ins, making the matchup look stupid. You either did the all-in and won, or did the all-in and it didn't work. And that was about it. But then comes the modern Zerg play, which is very roach heavy. You get a lot of drones early on, you delay tech, and then you can do attacks that are just as effective as all-ins, yet still allow Zergs to follow up in a stable fashion. So what is Taran to do? We took a look at this great opening from Flash. We're seeing all the subtle moves to deal with those early types of all-in timings. We're seeing the effectiveness of it in terms of just dealing damage. And now as we pause at the day 9-minute mark, we will then step into part 2 where we can see how Flash follows this up for a nice mid-game. BAM! God, that was such a solid part 1, and if it was Kitty's birthday, that would have been the best part 1 of any daily of all time. I can't believe it. We'll be back in 2 minutes with part 2. Until then, let's listen to some fantastic music.